Today, I am sharing my second version of this atmospheric watercolor landscape. I've really been enjoying exploring this moodiness, and softiness in this paint. And we actually painted a third variation together during my weekly live 5 Minute Friday over on Patreon, which was such a fun way to push the idea even further. And for the month of May inside my Patreon membership, we're going to be focusing on these atmospheric landscapes all month long, breaking them down, experimenting, and getting comfortable with this style together. All right, if you're ready, let's jump into this one. Hi, I am Kellie Chasse. I love sharing my watercolor techniques to help you paint with more confidence and less stress. You can join our creative community. You get a 7-day free trial to explore over 2 years worth of ad-free content, and it includes new weekly tutorials and my popular 5-minute live Fridays. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, there is a seat for you at my table. We hope you join and stick around. All right, you guys, I am using Quin Gold Madder Rose Indigo, a little bit of Payne's Gray in this one, and some lavender. These are all my Rosa Gallery paints, and these are actually were my tube paints, so not all of these are in the floral set. You can see here they've all dried up. That's what tube paints do. If you have tube paints, you put them in a tray like this, let them dry, cover them up. That's what you get. Also using Arches 140-pound cold press cotton paper. So we're going to start again, just like we did with the other ones. I'm just throwing down the very light Quin Gold first. Now, I do like to keep the gold very light. You can do it dark. Again, it will give you a different look. And I like to keep it light around the pink. So I finally figured out in my last version to leave a little bit more space in amongst this indigo, because the indigo does have a tendency to take over very quickly. These ones, though, are super moody. My third one was more vibrant and brighter, where I left a little bit more of the yellow. Now you can see I'm dropping it in, so you have to kind of think about this. You want to keep your spaces that you want to have bright and light, free from too much water and movement. So right now it looks pretty good. I'm going to drop in a little bit now of that lavender. And when you're in it like this, sometimes you don't think of these things. So this is why I say this to you now, because when I was painting this, I wasn't thinking about it. So I'm also putting in some lavender down the bottom. Again, I'm angling it a little bit, so not everything is going in the same direction. Usually when I paint my landscapes and my seascapes, I'm mirroring the top. But I see this as could be more snow, or it could be a reflection from the water, so you could do it that way. It's looking very pretty at this point, but things are going to continue to move. I'm going to go drop in a little bit more of this deep indigo with a little bit of Payne's Gray. This is kind of like my little landmass area. Again, this is all wet, so it's going to continue to move. So I'm thinking about maybe some grass down in the bottom. And that lavender and the indigo looks so good together. And the lavender and the yellow looks really good together. And the lavender and the madder rose looks really good together. So if you don't have lavender, get it. It's such a pretty color. Now, it is a little bit more opaque than most of the other colors. So you want to keep that in mind. But boy, it's just a gorgeous color. So I'm mixing a little bit of that Quin Gold along with it indigo. Again, I'm going to get a more of a neutral tone in here. Just kind of picturing, either a road in here, a snowy road, or just some kind of texture in this one. I love what it's doing in the center right now, but everything is still moving. I do lose some of that light. You can see things are kind of closing in up there. I want to mention too, I keep my paintings flat when I'm doing this, and I only tip and tilt. I'll lift it up if I want to make things move. Otherwise, if you have it tilted, where a lot of artists have their work tilted at a little bit of an angle to keep the water flowing down, sometimes you don't want that. And in most of my paintings, I usually work flat. That is just my style. I've been doing it this way for years. And again, whatever works for you and your style. If you feel like your paints are drying too quickly on you and you like to have that edge where everything's coming down to the end, works really well when you're working from top to bottom, then feel free to do that. But with these atmospheric ones, that color is going to really explode and going to go everywhere into your painting. So in order to keep it controlled, I lay it flat. So now I've taken my calligraphy pen. I'm just making some marks in there. Again, some grass marks, some trees, Looks really pretty in that lighter area. I'm going in with a little bit of darkness, so I'm kind of looking at it like it has some leaves in here. I'm not doing my normal pine trees. These are just some dark leaves in the background. And I don't want to go too dark. I can always dry and then add more details later. But because this is so wet, everything's soft, everything's still moving. I got a little landmass down underneath there. Again, maybe some grass or some bushes. So I've turned my brush sideways and I'm just lifting up. So I was using my Leban's brush for those small little details. At the beginning, I was using my Meeden brush, a big wash brush. It holds a lot of water. I ended up switching when I did my third piece to a smaller. I think I was using a number 9 here, and it holds so much paint, so much water. You can see where everything, again, still moving up there at the top, and it's still closing in slightly. So I went with a smaller size brush on my third version of this. And if you were watching this one, you didn't catch the first version, I will link it below for you so you can watch that one before you watch this one. And that way you can see the differences between the two. So I'm still kind of playing around. Everything's still wet, or I still have plenty of time. Now, because I used that larger brush at the beginning, this is staying wet for a longer period. I added quite a bit of pigment, quite a bit of paint, quite a bit of water in there. When I switch to a smaller brush, and if you're working with a smaller wash brush, you might find that this is going to dry a little bit quicker for you. And if that happens to you, grab yourself a small mister bottle or spray bottle, and that's going to help keep things wet longer. Just a nice little light mist. And when I do this the third time, I actually use that mister because I was doing a live and I was talking. And sometimes when I'm just painting for myself here, recording, and I'm doing a voiceover for you now. So when I'm in those, I think of it differently than when I do when I'm painting and explaining what I'm doing. So sometimes it works better when I'm doing these kind of paintings and even 5-minute warm-ups to paint them first and then do a voiceover because I feel like I'm more into the painting itself. All dry. Now I can go back in with a few more details. Now I do want to share this with you. Normally when I'm doing my paintings, I'm doing a lot more dries in between. I always tell you guys to, don't do your details at first. Just put your color down, keep it light, and then build upon it. But in the atmospheric ones like this, it's an all-in-one process. So I am slowly working with it wet into wet. So as it starts to dry, I can add darker colors. I can add a little bit more detail. So it's a different process than, if I were to, let's say, paint a landscape, from the sky and then the land and then the water. I do it a little bit differently. I do it more in steps and dry in between those steps. So forget what I've told you when you're doing atmospheric. You're going to lay in that color. You're going to lay in darker values. And then at the very end, see, I'm still putting details. I'm putting in some grass. I'm putting in some trees with the darkest value. So you're still doing that, but it skips a lot of that stuff in between, but it's a lot of very looseness. There's not much for control. It's more or less just watching paint flow, and really it takes practice on your dry time. So I think just a couple of birds, and that's all I'm going to do with this one. Again, these are very quick. They're kind of like a 5-minute warm-up, but a little bit longer. Because you're just watching those colors move. And then when you're happy with those colors, you saw I blow dried it. I wanted to stop those things from moving. And you have to be careful again when you dry, because if you've got any areas that are extremely wet, you don't want to get hard edges or have them come back into your painting. So that is something that takes practice as well. As you're drying, I usually start with that lighter area, and then I lift my heat gun up a little bit so that I'm trying to get an overall dry everywhere. I'm not just drying in one spot really fast. So we are done. This is like under 10 minutes. I'm pulling off the tape. You'll notice I'm using my TSS art tape this time, and it doesn't throw your eye off like the blue painter's tape does as much. So that does help. I did get my TSS art tape in. I'm really excited. I got 2 more rolls and I will link that down below for you too. So here we have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Remember to check out the first one here. I will link it below for you. And if you're on Patreon, you can watch the 5-minute warm-up one that we did as well. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. And a special thank you to my YouTube membership supporters. Your support also means a lot, helps me keep creating and sharing more art with you. And as a YouTube member, paid member, you get early access to all my YouTube videos before they're released. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next video.